And is that Kim with the
Yes.
screen open?
Sherry.
Actually, hang on, I can figure this out. Oh, there we go. Hang on. Okay, we're good. Go ahead, guys.
Okay, so this is the finance meeting for, what is it, 10/26 today?
27.
27. For October 27th, we have Mayor Hughes. This is the chair, Diane Schrimpf, Councilman Brugger, Councilman McNamara, and we have Kim Pulley. That's it, right? That's 5 people. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And Kim, is this, let's see, this is we're looking at the general fund. I can't
Yes.
see the title up there, but okay. It looks like it.
And I know we went through this kind of pretty in depth the last meeting.
No,
But then
I don't think we did. I think you handed, let's see. I don't remember. I remember getting the documents to print out and take a look at. But anyway.
okay, well, we can go through it. That's fine.
Well, no, I don't know about
After
any.
that
I don't know if
meeting,
anyone else had questions, but I had a few questions around this. So
Sure.
okay.
Do you want to start there? I know since the last meeting that we had, the mayor did send us some things that we wanted to try and work in the budget. We talked about just for example, to have a mowing contingency there in case we ended up needing it. So that's been added. The money to buy some small equipment for maintenance has been added in here. And that was not in there when we talked last time. So just there have been some changes since our last meeting.
That contingency, Diane, was the contingency you asked for. That's what she means by that. That was to have a little bit of, I didn't know if you knew exactly what she was talking about, but that's what that was for.
Okay. Okay.
You want to start with questions? Because that probably
Yeah,
could lead into the other
if
things.
you don't mind, this one, and then you said that this time you'd also have the other funds.
Yeah, they are done. I don't think I sent those out though. I will do that after the meeting. I'll PDF them and send them over.
Okay. Well, on the general fund, starting from the top with revenues and that, so the municipal income tax between 2020 and 2021, you're anticipating like a 4% increase.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily due to growth or raises in wages because, you know, with the pandemic, I actually expect that to go down a little bit. However, what you're going to pick up in 21 is in 2020, you picked up people who were here for a partial year in 2019. In 21, you'll get their full year of 2020. And then the houses that were completed in 2020, you'll have partial for. So the increase is due to growth in the population. It is not forecasting a growth in wages. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay.
And then small growth into 22 as we hopefully recover from the pandemic. And then in 23 and 24, since we have the commitment now, I did go ahead and put in a bump in revenue for the new schools. So
okay,
if those things go south, so will the budget because they're in now.
That's okay. So that's just, if you go out more than a year or two, it's a crapshoot anyway. So I'm not too, I mean, I don't think anyone would hopefully try to hang their hat on that. It's just an estimate.
No, and that, like you said, a crapshoot anyway. So,
well, I would trust, by all accounts, I trust your crapshoot over other people's facts. From everything I've heard about your financial prowess.
I resisted putting them in there for a long time because this has been talked about for several years. Even when the levy passed, I kind of resisted putting it in there, but now permitted or going through the permitting process, I am a little more comfortable with it.
Well, you might want to
Yeah,
be really
there's-
comfortable because they're about to dig.
Wood chipper eating
Good.
entire
And
trees.
they're chopping down trees now.
Yeah.
We're
That's the wood
expecting
chipper that
foundation to
you
be
can put a
started in 2
3-foot
or
hole
3 weeks.
through. I think they're serious.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, then I
Yeah.
will leave it there.
Okay. And in terms of the charges for services, that is going down from, it's been high and it's going down. Those are the charges for services are for the, that's mostly the MI stuff, right? That's gone away because all the houses are finished. Okay,
That's exactly what it is.
okay, all right. So I didn't have anything else there. On the security, persons and property under capital outlay. I noticed it was bumping up a little bit on the capital outlay. I didn't know if that was anything particular or just. miscellaneous.
Our chief wants to replace, I think he told me there were 2 MDTs that had been replaced and the other 2 need replaced. We had hoped to do it all in this year, but it didn't financially work out to do it in this year, so the other 2 still need to be done. And then the cost of the oh shoot, let me see if I can pull this up here real quick.
What's an MDT?
MDT is the mobile data transmission unit, the computer in the cruisers that allows them
Oh,
to
okay.
communicate with dispatch.
Okay, makes sense.
Acting like it wants to. Come on. Okay. So this is the cost of a replacement cruiser. Oh, the 3 computers, the station computers are all up for replacement in 21.
Okay,
They placed in 16, I believe. So
computers.
And is that about normal as far as the financial or burden on a municipality, as far as we understand from the replacement of police infrastructure?
yeah, our computers, we ideally would like to 3 or 4 years out of them, but we try and push for 5. 5's usually the max that they can handle before they start failing and getting out of support range.
Understandable.
So, and there are 3 of them within the police department. So
Cool.
Okay.
they
I'm
try to
sorry, I'm still
replace one
trying to
body
learn,
camera.
the first year of, financial stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
you just ask whatever you want to ask. It's
Absolutely.
fine. So then under fire emergency, so in 2020, is this one been updated? Because in 2021, it says the contractual services is 84,800. 84,000.
Okay, so if you recall, we have this guy over here. That first 20,000 that was accumulating towards the purchase of a new vehicle in 2025.
Yes.
We will apparently, I'm assuming, no longer need to purchase a vehicle in 2025. So there's currently $90,192 in there that we would use towards the contract in the first year.
Okay, we're gonna see that on your
So
other
that
reports,
is-
right?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Um, I don't know if it's easier. We may have to, if you remember how we had to do this year, or not had to do, but we requested the state to allow us to make that transfer between the sewer funds and the storm sewer fund. We can also request for approval to transfer this money back into the general fund, which should be a pretty easy allow because we obviously don't have the department anymore. We're not
Right.
money. So that's probably what we'll have to do, probably pretty early in the year. I'm not
that's-
sure. Do you know how they're going to bill us, Columbus? Is it going to be annually? Is it going to be twice a year? Do you know yet?
Sorry, no, I do not know yet.
So yeah, so that's the difference. It's the $90,292 there. And
Okay,
then with the capped increase going forward.
okay. So this one gets the vehicle. Cash flow lower, okay. All right, and let's see, then going down to public health and welfare, mosquito spraying. Tiffany, we have 6,400, is that, yeah, 6,400's in there. And last year, I know you were saying that we didn't contract for we didn't contract for any sprayings, it was just the spraying if, but it sounded like was there enough in the account for the mosquito spraying?
We had
So-
to increase.
If I remember
Sorry, go
correctly,
ahead.
it included like 1 or 2 sprayings. It didn't include major sprayings. We only had to have 1. So it's, without pulling it back up, I do believe that our contract included like, and I'm going in here to try to find it, but I believe it included 1 or 2, up to 1 or 2, and then you had to pay for any additional. We did not go over any. I did not see any additional billing for it. I've already reached out to her to verify that it wasn't going to go up drastically this year. And her answer was, the cost should be the same for 2021. The only thing that may vary a little bit is if we treat more catch basins, $4.89 each, or run more West Nile tests, $23.90 each, than we did this past year. But those numbers shouldn't vary much from year to year. So that's the answer I got for that. So she says it should stay about the same, but I'm trying to see how many sprays were included. If you guys want to go on to the next one, and I can come back to it.
All right. All right, the next one I wanted to ask about was leisure time activity. I see in 2021.
We kind of talked about this a little bit last year. Previously, what had been happening that the person before me had done, and I just kind of followed, was basically split the maintenance time 50-50 between parks and maintenance. That's really not accurate because if you think of parks, we have like the playgrounds and the basketball court, and obviously he's not spending 50% of his time working on those specific things. So basically all I've done is just moved the entire thing down to buildings and grounds.
Okay.
So there's no change in total. It's just in a different location.
Okay, so my question is that the contractor, let's see, there is something under contracted services, the $200, and then supplies and material for $600. Is this where
Yeah,
would
the
the-
600.
where would like a park bench be?
I'm sorry, the what?
Park bench or
I'm
we're
not
in
sure
Parks
what.
and Recreation. If we wanted to put in a few more park benches,
Gotcha.
where
They
would that?
could come from here. Do you happen to have a idea on cost on those yet?
Well, it's more than, well, $600 might, I just wanted to, everybody keeps talking about adding more benches, blah, blah. And I don't know that, I just wondered if that was something, the mayor, have you considered that? Or is that in a different place in the budget, or is that not under consideration right now?
So one of the things that I had asked for, and I don't know if we're there yet, and maybe you guys don't approve of this and we're not there yet, so you're jumping the gun. And Kim, I don't know if we did do it or not, but we had talked about setting aside some money from the Parkland Fund in order to get some park benches, trash cans, that kind of stuff. I can't remember exactly what it was, but do you remember what I sent?
Yeah, I vaguely remember talking about that now.
So yes, that was a discussion that I planned on having. So yes, Diane, you're right on the same page. But my thought was to use it just from the Parkland Fund, getting some basics. David?
Would the supplies and materials section also be a good spot to have some funding for potential umbrellas for the pool, should we decide to pursue that route?
That actually is, pulls its own section.
Oh,
Yeah,
wonderful. Okay.
pools is one section down. That's been,
Okay.
that would have been a logical place for it, but we have pools as a separate,
Thank you. I just couldn't see that far low yet.
yeah. So it seems like this, the provide and maintain parks, the 320 account, it just seems like it's been decimated and maybe it's not even, maybe we shouldn't even continue to
Yeah, the
use it.
600, I can tell you specifically that the $600 is for mulch for the playground. And the contractual services, I believe, is to get the certification for weed spraying for our employees if we want to go that route.
Yes.
I see.
Okay,
Okay, well,
do you
so
have
I'll
any-
just kind of,
do you have an issue if we do set aside money from the parkland fund for the benches and things of that nature? Because that is something that we had talked about in really depth in planning and zoning as well. So picnic tables, benches, some trash cans. We'd actually talked about exact areas that we wanted a couple of those things. So I will say myself and planning and zoning have some ideas after we walked through there, seeing where we would like to see some benches and part, some of that kind of stuff. So my thought was using the money that's already set aside for parks.
Maybe we could get a little shelter house down by the basketball courts with some picnic tables under there. People have parties and whatnot. It'd be wonderful.
There's tons of talk about all of that. Of course, the shelter house, I'll definitely have to go to you guys for it, but ordering a couple benches and things like that, I think is pretty much something I'm able to do if I have the funds in there to being able to do it. So personally, I would love to be able to get that money in somewhere to where we can just start getting it in March and April.
okay. Well, it sounds like the Parkland Fund is one, we're looking at the general fund right now. So I guess we could park this question until we get to the,
That'd be awesome.
okay. So alrighty, on the swimming pool, the supplies of materials seemed to go up from, it's been 11, 13, now it's up 17, 18. Is that just, is there something
Well,
going
part
on
of it-
there?
Part of it is that the pool wasn't open for the pool season this year. And partly, I believe there's some money in there to replace some chairs and umbrellas that we're not doing through the big project. But that way we can go ahead and purchase some of those things if we find them for a reasonable price.
Cool.
So
That answers
normally
my
the supplies
question.
and materials are more the chemicals for the pool, or is that separate?
Yeah.
Chemicals, okay.
And then we did put 10,000 here for some of those repairs that we think may need to happen.
And
in
then
conjunction with the
capital,
data
that's the
preservation.
capital outlay is the 10,000 for maybe repairs.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully that'll be enough.
Positive thoughts, Diane. The pool can hear when you're negative about it.
This is just a really quick question, and this is just my own question. When we send Rick West out, plumbing issues that we may have, I know we had to fix the water thing last year, but I know Rick West opens the pool, closes the pool, does some different things like that. Where does that come out of the contractual services?
Yep.
Okay,
Exactly.
that's it. I assumed, but just wasn't sure.
Okay. All right. So the next one is the community environment. This is a planning and zoning. Okay. So planning and zoning, is this drop in personnel services telling us something about personnel?
Well, it has been going down as Eric cut his hours back, so that continued, and the mayor kind of indicated that she was hopeful that the code enforcement, if we hire a code enforcement officer, that the hours would be less there also, and hopefully at a lower rate than what we had previously paid.
So yes, my goal, and yes, Diane, you are correct. At this point in time, Eric has been pretty essential, helping us with the Westerville City School program. Only having Eric and our current code enforcement officer very little hours right now. Keeping all of their hours down is my goal at this point. And we'll be having some more discussions on that over the next couple weeks and seeing where it goes. But ultimately, the goal is to keep Eric's under a certain amount right now, as well as our code enforcement. When we do hire a new code enforcement officer, because I do believe that's the route I'm headed, I would like to see a code enforcement officer that has a little more flexibility and also starting him out a little lower than what some of the other ones have started at. It's just going to depend on, how qualified they are and all that good stuff. But I do have some goals set that I gave her for what I'm looking for.
And I take it the 2019, the reason it was at 81,000 is because that's when MI was really taking a lot of Eric's time.
There's also one other thing happened between 19 and 20. Becky was doing a lot of planning and zoning things in 18 and 19. She's kind of shifted hers also, that she's really not doing much with the P&Z anymore. She's mostly doing administrative, primarily administrative things. Her salary is no longer coming from there either. Her salary didn't change in total, but now it's being allocated differently also.
You'll see that in other places. So remember that.
I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
So bringing that up.
They'll split somebody's if they're working two departments, so they'll split the
Right.
salary as
Right,
well.
so that it's kind of accurately reflected in what's going on, the cost of the village.
Does this reflect then, and if I say something, that needs not to be said, sorry, this reflects keeping Mike on for the next few years to help with Westerville schools then?
With Eric, at this point in time, he is, and I think it's fair, not going in depth. Now that we have Jean that's gone, Eric is the only person that's left in the village that's been there longer than a year. So I shouldn't say that. He's with not having our attorney, not having any of that kind of stuff. He's kind of the one that can merge a little bit of the gaps with different things. So the ultimate goal is, yes, to keep them for a little while, but really ringing in the hours because we still don't want to do it as a contract. We want him to be done as hourly. But you're going to see him cutting back on some of the meetings, like the second meetings of the month when we don't need him for legislation. He's not going to be involved in all of those meetings as well, is my ultimate goal to get to shortly. But when you guys need him, in which you have needed him over the last couple months, is, same thing with planning and zoning. I kind of give him the option, do you need Eric's hours? Do you not? So that's kind of the way it's going to work for the next little bit. But he's extremely helpful. He is actually coordinating, whether or not anybody knows this, he is the person that is coordinating the entire Westerville City School deal. Him and Mike Flickinger are spending plenty of hours. It's a large project. So there's emails going back and forth like you guys have no idea.
Oh, no, I
Believe it.
And I'm
Yeah.
glad.
Well, I think that there's some people that don't. I mean, the amount of emails that they send asking questions is pretty significant.
Yeah, I'm not one of those people. So, and
It's a lot.
And I like that he has that institutional memory of, yep, this is how things have been done.
Right.
That
So
sounds good to me.
good. So
And not put a
yes,
price on institutional knowledge.
he definitely has it.
Okay.
Ally,
And the planning, okay, so what are the contractual services in planning and zoning again?
I believe that's the license for the GIS. Get over here.
That sounds right.
Oh, the software.
Oh, plumbing permits. We shouldn't have too many of those going forward, but any plumbing inspections come from there.
Oh, okay.
And then what do I have over here? Yeah, so plumbing permits and the license for the GIS is there.
All right. Okay, going on to the other community environment, the lakes.
It's a little more
There's,
detailed.
yeah, contractual detail, yeah, the contractual and then the total other.
So the contractual
70.
services for there. I did not. If you want me to, because I'm assuming there's going to be some engineering involved with the lakes. I'm assuming at this point that's not going to happen this year, that there would be any engineering for it. I did not add it over here because it's here, but I can take it from 2020 and put it in 21. I just didn't want to add it there because I didn't want it to show like it was in there twice.
Okay,
Yeah, I'd move it to 21. I'd say we're largely done with 20 with amounts of money that big.
I would completely agree.
Did we
Uh,
replug the dam yet? Because I'd like Tony to show me where that is so that I can do it too.
It's not just plugging up the dam. You have to have a generator over there. Like, it's a process. And the answer is no, because we're still waiting for our last day to be
Oh
done.
yeah, that last day. Yeah, sorry about that.
No, you're
I'd just
good,
like
but
to
they
know
were out
where
there
it
the other
is
day.
because I feel like somewhat of an impotent community committee chair if I can't alter or work with our largest asset of the community or one of.
I'll have him text you or email you the next time when they get ready to do it, but we're not ready
Yeah.
to do it, so I'm not sure when it's gonna be done yet.
No worries.
Since we're on the lake here, I see the engineering service at $25,000. I get that. If we wanted to hire someone to come up with a plan to do something, where would we put money we wanted to budget to actually do something? Or,
so
Well,
You
again,
said-
here, I'm gonna go ahead and do this right now. We had set aside 25,000 to kind of get started. But if it's going to be a dredging project, that was going to have to be a debt finance, and that's already built in, a $300,000 debt issue.
okay, that
Um,
makes sense. I didn't think we could just drop 300. I didn't think we had $300,000 to just drop in here, and I wasn't thinking of loans.
Yeah, yep, we still are able to do that.
And so I'm surprised to see that this leaf pickup that's under lakes, is that our leaf pickup for the village?
It went from 21,000 in 2019 to the contracted price of 28,000 this year. So it was a pretty big jump, a third this year.
Right,
So
because
this
because of MI, right? That's
I'm assuming. So this is just a more modest increase.
right.
It might be so
And,
judging just by
and
knowledge of how he's quoted in the past. I don't know if anybody else would ever bid on it, that might change, but if he continues to be our only bidder, it seems to go up 1,000 a
To
year.
answer your question, we
I'm
did
just-
actually have another one this year, and I expect that person to bid again next year. So you never know.
All
I
right,
certainly
so
hope it's
the
not
the
that
leaf
much.
pickup
but
is. So the leaf pickup is there under lakes, just because there's no other good place to put it?
Yeah, it's more other community environment is kind of what its official title is. We kind of use it as a catch-all for the lakes because they're the biggest piece of that. But
Okay.
it doesn't have to just be the lakes in there.
Right. But tree removal is not necessarily geared just towards lakes either. That's the account that we use
Sure.
for any tree removal. Is that right?
Right.
So tree removal,
The 15,000.
gone from 10, okay.
Yeah, and I asked for that increase, so if you guys are like totally against it, but since we did what we did this year, I thought it would be a great increase in case we want to do, 1 or 2 days right off the bat. And, if we end up trying to dredge or something like that, we end up doing it right before, right after
Nice.
spring.
So
So,
what, okay, so, on the, I'm not sure where this goes, but it may go other community environment. The pathway behind the parked cars, parallel to the lake there that everybody's complained about for several years, it's all bumpy, lumpy and should be replaced. Were you planning on looking at doing that in 2021?
I
Mayor?
would love to.
So,
We've been
once
trying to
the,
get that fixed.
yeah, once the, now the, the previous talks about the facility and all that, they were going to, they had proposed that while you're doing that, you would roll that in. But again, that's a matter of timing. And I'm not sure. So, but we ought to know, we'll know, we'll have the architect renderings. And so we'll know whether that area is going to be touched or not, and if it's not, then I think we should get on that. But it will, the reason I'm also thinking about it is because it will require, I was looking at it, and those pine trees really have got to go. They're growing right up into the wires. Anyhow, it's terrible placement. So they got to be whacked. And I'm sure that at least it won't be the most expensive tree whacking that we have to do, but taking those down and then, that might, there's probably some roots under there that are pushing up that might have to be whacked at. So, but I would certainly think that it would be a great project for 2021 to redo that path.
I can't disagree anymore. And I wish I would have brought this with me. It's at the office. And what I might do is scan it in and send it to everybody. I actually got a handwritten letter from a Girl Scout troop asking us to fix that. Now they're also asking for us to add more sidewalks and things like that, so they can, so they don't have to walk in the street. I'm just going to tell you that. But that was one of the large things that the girls that they had asked for was, they're going to hurt themselves walking through there, and they're right. So,
well, they could give us some of their cookie money,
they
especially if
actually
they
said
can't
they
go.
would be willing.
If they can't go camping because of COVID,
Or
they
just the
could,
cookies.
donate the-
Just so you know, Diane, they actually said that they were willing to help contribute and also help do it. So I'll scan that in tomorrow and give that to you guys. I've been meaning to do it and I haven't done it, and I want to kick myself for not doing it because it was very sweet. So you're right.
Okay, and
It's
this,
done.
would it go, Kim, would it go here if we put it in?
Yeah, we
Probably,
don't want
this is
to
probably
know-
the best place for it.
we don't want to
What's that?
be known as a government that, upsets our local Girl Scouts. I mean,
I
that's
know.
not a good look for anybody.
Yes, this would be the best place for it.
Best place
would-
for it, okay. So can we add a placeholder line for it then? While we talk it over?
Let's do that. I am just gonna stick it,
In other contractual services.
I'm gonna put it here, because a project that size is probably going to be a capital outlay thing. So I'm just gonna put a note over here.
Okay.
This
Because
is
we could have, Tiffany, you've had
Fred.
the asphalt guy out that you like anyway, right? So he could probably give us a quote on that, or no, he wouldn't.
I have found, and I'm just being, I hate that sometimes I'm recorded, but the prices are so much more expensive with him. I mean,
Okay.
let's just be honest. He was like $12,000 or $13,000 to do that same project we're getting done for $6,000. So I'm actually sending Eric a message right now to follow up with MI because they were supposed to be getting us an estimate for that thing. So I'm going to email him right now.
Okay, and did they do the redo of the parking lot area? Did they do that? Because that was a pretty nice job.
No. A while ago?
That was a couple of years. That
Yeah,
was
I
a
don't
couple
know.
of years ago.
I don't know.
Okay, alrighty. Okay, so let's see. Now we have basic utility services. That looks like that's a dead account, Tiffany? I mean, Kim?
Yes, because previously, it's actually been dead since the end of 2019. This expense here was just a carryover from 2019. Since we started the storm sewer fund, we haven't
Okay.
paid out of the general fund for storm sewer.
Great, I just wanted to confirm that. Okay, and then, so in the general government mayor's office, personnel services have jumped from 56.9 to 74.
I'd assume that's where Becky is now.
Yes, this is where Becky is now compared
Took her
to
from one and put her
where
to
she
the
had
other.
been.
Oh, I see. This is a movement of, okay,
The reduction in planning and zoning resulted in the increase down here.
I raised my salary. You didn't know?
no, but no, that needs to be noted somewhere, because it is a big jump, and it should always be commented, especially on staffing somewhere, what's going on. So, because it'll raise a red flag with certain people like me.
I suspect she was joking.
About what?
About some large administrative pay increase.
Oh, of course. Oh, she was joking. Right. I'm not saying she wasn't joking. I'm saying that on anytime your staff goes up, or your staff numbers go up, your personnel's,
And
you
that's
want to
pretty
make sure you
standard.
note that as to what's going on. So, let's see. No, Tiffany's gonna wait when we're not looking, and then she's gonna sneak something in there.
No,
mean, my
so
question-
far I'm telling you, there is going to be one surprise that people might not like. So we'll get to it. It's a
Okay.
small one, but we'll get there. 'Cause
Okay.
I
sure.
have nothing to hide. I think that's the big thing that you guys always know.
Okay, so in the, let's see, the other thing then is the other thing that kind of jumped up was Mayor's Court Personnel Services from 24 to 31.
That's again, you're reallocating. Kim, I can do
Yeah,
your meeting
so-
for you. I would assume that
sure.
is Mayor's Court and that's the move around from the other ones. From the fiscal officer and the
Right.
Leah salary. We just talked about Becky's salary. Now we're talking about Leah's salary. So I
Right,
would
so
assume it
what
has something to do with that.
And we were allocating Leah's salary 3 days a week finance, 2 days a week mayor's court. Since we're contracting out payroll, it's going to be more of a 50-50 split. So now instead of a 60-40, it's going to be, so you can see down here, you can see the corresponding decrease. The finance side.
Yes.
Okay, all right, and then the, under the fiscal office, finance, contractual services, is that Paycor?
Yes.
Okay. And under lands and building, lands
Okay.
and building personnel services, 22 to 57.
Yes, so what we have proposed is keeping
Oh.
Brian at his hours, adding a second person at roughly the same hours, and then a summer seasonal person. Maintenance
Okay,
team.
I didn't recognize that as maintenance, but there you go. Okay.
And then you can see the 9,700 that we had, and you can see the increase in that. Because that's where I asked her to bump that up significantly this year, in case we need a new mower, a new this or that. So I had asked her to bump it up like $20,000 for equipment. Nothing specific, just so we had a placeholder in there.
You're saying under supplies and materials where it
Correct.
goes from 97 to 29.
But I am gonna ask, why did the contractual services go down drastically?
Let's see.
2020, what did I pay for this year?
Well, you've got, if we had stuck in there the 30,000
Oh,
for MI mowing and that we didn't take it back, you know what I mean?
that might be
Is
it.
that what it is? It's about 30,000. right?
Let's see.
I was gonna say.
Oh,
I didn't think
engineering.
33.
Engineering was a lot higher this year because of the
Oh.
Westerville project.
That's why, okay.
Engineering, okay. So we expect so the 62, which is still high, is also good.
20 is, sorry, 20,000 on engineering is more in line with what we would spend during a year. So I brought that back down. It probably was a little higher this year because of the work that Mike did trying to get the transfer done for us as well.
We had the, we
so
actually had the
this year,
transfer. We actually had the transfer money,
Yours.
the reallocate, or we're still trying to figure out the reallocation for the water bill. We had the East Shore Court project still. We have the Westerville City School project still. We have the MKSK that he helped us with the grant. So there were actually like 7 different things, and we have the storm sewer and the sanitary sewer projects going on at the exact same time.
Which
Do you
those
get-
two aren't paid from the general fund, but all the other ones that she
Okay.
mentioned were.
Okay, so the other ones all were.
Okay. Do they send you do they send the administration a gift basket of candy and fruit at
Better.
Christmas?
You better.
I mean, for all the money we've been spending with them.
I'm
Jeepers.
gonna send him an email and tell him that he needs that, and we need that.
Yeah, we
Ask him
definitely.
where our
need
party
it.
is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll just, it's a significant amount. It's necessary, maintenance. It's just, and I'm not sure that's enough. And I'm also not sure your supplies of material are enough.
I don't think so either. I just again, I didn't want you guys to have a nervous breakdown. You're online with Kim right now. I think, again, this is normal for me. I don't have any problem coming back to you guys when this is gone. So I think that's really what I'm making sure that you guys understand. I am not in disagreement. I do think it's low, but I think it would get us started.
Well,
Again,
I'm
I know it's time
concerned-
consuming.
Okay, I'm just concerned that Kim's gonna come back and say, well, you're coming back to the well and there's nothing there. I can't do anything for you.
Exactly.
So,
So
I-
I think once we get
We are
through
not
this-
quite to that point.
well,
Okay.
I just, if we really, in order to do the maintenance job correctly, I mean, I don't want to set up anybody for failure. I mean, if the council seems to think they want to have this be in-house, and I would just hate to have a situation where then we don't have the tools that the person needs to be successful.
Again, I gave her that amount of money and I'm looking for you guys to adjust it. I mean, I didn't want to go big or go home. I thought, a lawnmower or something to get us started. My plan is to use the garage that we currently have once the EMS is gone. I'm not, I know that that's all going to change in the next year or two. But I would like, I don't want to spend everything. And, I also don't want council thinking that I've lost my ever loving mind. So, well, you already know that. Don't say that, Mark. So no, I mean, I don't know what a fair amount is. I mean, we saw the numbers on there. We saw some of the things that we needed and want.
Yeah,
I-
that might be a thing to look at right now.
So that's something before we pass it that we can still make some adjustments. Somebody shoot some emails over in the next couple of days and discuss it.
Okay, all right. Well, now that we know for sure what's in those categories, we'll have chew on that one. Okay, and then on the, so really would you say, Kim, that in the total general government, in that final row there, we've gone from in 2018, the 434 up to 632 in 2021, and then we seem to have leveled out. How good do you feel about that?
I am fairly confident in that because I don't see, if we do the maintenance now, I don't see that increasing substantially. Because I agree that probably people on a seasonal is probably, in theory anyway, enough. If you find out that it's not, then obviously that's going to change. I don't see anything, I can't think of anything going forward in the next 4 or 5 years that's going to require it not to stay level there.
All right.
And
that's
I
it.
will say real quick, because I just opened up Diane's rough estimate of costs. And if you look at the top 2 sections of that
Right.
and take out $12,000 for storage, because we'll use the garage we already have, and take out $12,000 for the portable towable bucket lift, all the stuff she had listed there comes in at about 22,000, 23,000. So that 29 doesn't seem to be too far off, and that's with buying a good lawnmower and all the little stuff that she had on there.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mark.
Yep.
All
It's
right.
fantastic news. I don't know why people dread finance meetings and other things I've heard or read about. This is
I can't believe
Yeah,
anybody dreads
you have no idea.
any meeting I'm a part
This
of.
is, this is just really pretty pleasant, but, yeah.
There have
Okay.
been some hard ones historically, I will tell you that. It's a
Yeah.
little easier when the money is
When there's money, yeah.
coming
We
in
did
at a
not-
better rate than it was previously.
Yeah.
so I'm just
So-
spoiled onto the show at this time.
Yeah, I
So-
think what you're missing is, I believe it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 years ago, MPCA took over sending out the village little, the little mailer, because the village couldn't afford to send it out to people.
Oh. Well, that
Yeah.
seems
I
a
will
little
say,
bit.
Yeah.
I will say again and again and again, I know that MI coming in was very contentious when it happened, but that was the greatest financial windfall that has ever happened to this village, not even because of the income taxes, but because of those permit fees. The weight that those fees taken off of the general fund to be able to fund a lot of that sewer repair and storm sewer stuff that we're doing, I can't even tell you how important that's been.
Right. Well, yeah,
So if
that's what I was saying about the, just being able to afford the EMS fire contract.
Right? Because if you
which we couldn't have
get
done
up here
before.
where we're talking about that debt account, we were spending 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 a year on storm sewers from the general fund. Over five, it's $250,000. It's not going to have to be spent out of there anymore. That's huge, huge.
Yeah, that's $250,000. That's amazing.
Right.
I guess I'm just spoiled. If I'd moved to Minerva Park, 5 or 6 years ago, I would have gotten to witness the real fun, but let's hope we never have to experience that again.
You've come in at a good time, at least so far. I mean, but you just never know about the economy, what's
Right.
gonna happen, but hope for the best.
Right. And I'm not in disagreement with Diane. This is one, obviously we just went line by line, but we're at 603 this year, 632. Obviously I'm not dumb. I can see a couple increases, with obviously taking over the lands and buildings. Where was the largest increase from 2019 to 2020? How did we literally go from 466 to 603? I'm not complaining. I guess I just kind of want to see.
Yep. So some of it was engineering.
Okay, so that's a huge one.
Yeah, that's the ones that I hit the highlight on were all the ones that were
Okay.
Here.
significantly higher.
It's the mayor's office.
Come on.
Right, the mayor,
now.
it's definitely the mayor's office.
The $200,000 raise she's been taking.
Which part of it was Becky's reallocation. There was an increase for the mayor's salaries, a small one.
Now she works hard.
Oh, absolutely.
I guess maybe my question is there anything that I need to watch or we should be extremely cautious of, knowing that we don't know what's going to happen with the economy over the next 6 months, 8 months, a year? We don't know what COVID's going to do. We don't know if a lot of businesses are going to get shut down again. And I'm not trying to be, the fear monger, because I'm the opposite of that, but I don't control it. Is there anything that you think that we should be cautious of moving forward?
I will say that the village has been very good about not making purchases unless they've been needed. I've not seen frivolous spending
Okay.
in the last few years.
Okay.
And I would expect that to continue. As long as we're using common sense, I don't think, and as long as we're watching it, like if we're seeing, say, come April, that our income taxes are
Okay.
way down, then we might need to rethink,
Right.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head that we might be able to pull back from, but
Well,
it's one of those things where as long as we're monitoring it throughout the year, we're just not waiting until year end and being like, oh, we actually didn't get as much money as we thought we did. That way we can kind of adjust our expectations and adjust our actions throughout instead of waiting until it's a big problem.
Right.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the
problem.
first thing our situation is like most municipalities in that the majority of the money spent, the biggest pool of that is in police and fire. So that's
And-
why there's, always the threat or the talk about reducing staffing in police and fire. But hopefully it hopefully it won't come to that. But that's 50% of the general fund. So that's a big chunk.
I would say that due to our location in the still booming second largest city in the entire Midwest, that we should be largely shielded from the worst fallout. But I very much agree with Madam Mayor about how important it is to be proactive and cautious, especially in this era.
Right. I'm one of those that I realize why it needs to be. My business is closed. My business has been closed since March. So, and I don't have a light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm not alone. And I know that there's going to be people in the village that are not alone.
My
So-
heart goes out to them. Please believe me. I know that as a nurse, I'm kind of sheltered still getting paid and all that.
Exactly. And
My heart goes out to
so
everybody.
I'm
Sincere.
optimistic, like, I think Kim's numbers are great. She's done this way longer than I have, and I trust everything that she's doing. But we don't know what's going to happen we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So
we've-
I know
we've
she can only, give estimates based on what we've seen. So nobody's ever
What we
seen
know right
anything
now.
like this. So obviously we're not holding her to any of this. It's just a matter of, where we need to be. So
Well,
awesome.
yeah, I think
So far. So let's hope
I
it
think looking at the the where we're taking more, I guess, risk is on the other funds and the lakes and the sewer projects and the facility and all the rest of that stuff.
I'll point out again too, this is a situation like this one is big benefit to us to be a quote bedroom community.
Mhm.
We don't have a lot of the businesses
Correct.
that are primarily funding our income tax. So businesses being shut down doesn't hurt us. It hurts us when our residents work at those businesses and they're shut down, but it doesn't hurt us the income tax that we from those businesses. Our biggest employer did not shut down, so we still collected on that.
And
And I'm encouraged by what we saw in October. We year over year, we still had growth,
Which
even
is
though
shocking.
it was my additions. There was still growth there, so that was encouraging.
Mhm.
Being the bedroom community, which hopefully means that I know many of our residents suffered, but there were some that have not, or the fact that currently we might not see a hit next year either, because whether people are well aware of this or not, if they had supplemental unemployment assistance at $600 a week, that's taxable to us. So even if those people were out of work, if they got that benefit, we're still going to get money from that.
Mhm.
So we're not hurting as much as we could have been hurting, and we should be very thankful for that.
Oh yeah, I agree.
These little tiny communities in rural Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, all these little rural all over the country, I feel so badly for them, because I can just imagine the talks that are going on in their township and village halls. We're so lucky to be in the middle
It's
of
very
Columbia.
difficult, especially when especially when they have to shut down the hospitals when you need them the most.
Yeah, it's this whole,
Um,
I could go on for hours about how this whole last few years of medical tragedy could have been avoided, but
yeah. All right, well, it's 6:57, being respectful. So we talked for about an hour. We still have not looked at the other funds. Where do we go from here? Kim, what's your
Let's just run the
availability?
big ones, the ones that are going to have some activity in them, because there's not
Okay.
outside of the general fund. That's where most of our business happens. Not a whole heck of a lot happens outside of there. So, our street fund. For 2021, we do about $25,000 a year annually for, we don't normally spend that much, but that's for pothole repairs and small things like that, sinkholes. So we do an allocation every year for that. This capital outlay here is the Maplewood Cleveland Avenue intersection. This 127,000 is kind of based on what we had talked about with Mike 2 years ago for a price. It probably is not the same now.
Yeah.
But that's still the number that I've been using for a placeholder. I'm at this point assuming that still is going to happen in 2021, because that is when we had our streets survey or streets assessed back in 2015 or 2016. That was one of the 2 roads in the village that is failing.
Yeah, and even for me, it's getting bad enough that I think we need to spend that money. And I apologize for interrupting there, but I am going to have to jump off and get on with one of my parents here. So
Thanks, Mark.
have a good evening, everyone.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
See you, Mark.
So
Thank
I
you.
really, that money is there. It's been helped significantly by the fact that when the state increased the gas tax, you can see that our numbers are going up. From that, it increased in the middle of 2019, so that's why there was a bump there. In 2020, we'll theoretically see the full effects of that, although it'll probably be a little less in 2020 because, again, it's based on fuel consumption, and that was way down. But in 2021, if that bounces back, then about 90,000 is what we should see going forward. And even doing that project in cash, we'll still have a pretty healthy balance there. I'm still recommending in 2022 to do another street assessment, because we haven't done that since 2016. It was before I started, so I'm not positive it was 15 or 16. But we don't want to do it now because we obviously know that Maplewood is failing, so it doesn't make any sense to do it now. But after that's done, I think we should.
It was 2016.
That way we can kind of get a handle on our long term. The other road that's failing for Councilman McNamara especially is Valley Road, which is the one to the pool.
Yeah.
There's no
I noticed
project
that.
yeah.
I
So,
noticed that this summer. I did a drive of most of the community last week, just to see any glaring issues, and everything looked pretty good in the new section for sure. And chunks of the old section the heritage section look good as well. So, except of course the things that we already know about. So it's good.
Real briefly, the state highway fund is that one piece of 161 that's ours that we never have to spend any money on. So that continues to accumulate money, but nothing happens to it. And we continue to let it sit there because when we tried to see if we could spend it on our streets, Columbus said, well, maybe we should get it. And we didn't want to go down that road. And so it just still sits there. So there you go. Storm sewer. So in 2020, we had a lot of engineering and obviously the project that's happening right now. And then in 2021, we've got I'm moving this over just a little bit because I can't see behind the, in 2021, we've got 27,000 set aside for beginning the CCTV in places that are not a problem that we know about already. So 27,000 for the actual CCTV, $10,000 for engineering review, and we've got that as an annual expense going forward. The 225 is for the East Shore Court project, and that obviously could change once it's bid out, but that is budgeted for 2021. And then going forward, it's kind of just a maintenance as things happen in the CCTV and we find out about them, how we address them. So these are just kind of placeholders, nothing specific, no projects planned. Make sense?
There aren't.
Someday we will have all our infrastructure on maintenance mode.
That would be awesome.
Water fund. We always appropriate an amount in there that's to repair Actually, I can change this because I had the 10,000 in there for the hydrants.
Yeah.
No, we are doing that, right?
Mhm.
We're doing the 10,000, or no, is Rick going to do them? What do
We
we,
are
where do we
doing
land on
them.
that?
I'm going to give you the quick version. I think I'm on. We are now doing them. We are not doing them through the city of Columbus. At
Okay.
this point in time, there's discuss, is Rick planning on doing it as a volunteer still? I don't have that information. Him and I have not sat down. He wants to do them. I know he wants to do them. He has not asked for anything, but there's also been talk from council that maybe they want to look at different companies to potentially do them. I do not have the thought that we're going to have our maintenance team do them, even though Brian did help. So long story short, we all want to get off there. I would love to still see some sort of placeholder for something. I don't know that that's where it would go though. Because again, I don't know exactly how we're going to move forward. So
Okay.
meaning this just happened in the last 2
But
weeks.
we're not
I thought
Columbus
Columbus
for
was
them.
going to do it. But they're not. So no, City of Columbus is not doing them. We are on our own. The other thing that he was talking about is we need to keep record of all of the hydrant repairs. And then whether or not people know this, Tom is actually the person that does our commercial building inspections. He goes inside the commercial buildings and checks whatever he does. Maybe I should read it to you, but Tom is the person that does that. Again, I don't know what we pay him to do that. And he is planning on being the person that still does our commercial building. If you guys want to continue, I can kind of go back. So I don't know. Again, I know this is horrible for me to act like I don't know, but this has been 2 weeks. I think this is kind of, none of this stuff was discussed before. So these are all things that I'm learning as we go.
Who is Tom?
I'm reading it. Hang on. He's the person that's
Uh,
always done them. Do you know who it is, Kim?
Is it our lieutenant, the Lieutenant Ballier? That Tom, or
I
is it a
believe
different
so.
Tom?
Hold that thought.
Okay.
I'm gonna say yes. It's an email. Hang on. Okay. No, I met with Tom McClanahan, our fire inspector, and I'm happy to report that he is more than willing to continue at his present capacity. I asked him to maintain a permanent record of all inspections effective November 1st, place all commercial facilities on a 10-year inspection rotation, and revisit the 2999 building. That building has changed ownership, and we need to ensure that the rules that are included, all occupancy permits within the building is enforced, and it's all other commercial property occupancy permits. So again, I haven't had a chance to look into all of this kind of stuff yet. But that was just something that, again, I'm not even thinking about some of that kind of stuff. It's all coming as every day moves forward. We learn something new that we have to do when we get rid of a police or a fire department. So I don't know. I don't know what that's going to entail. I don't know what that's going to cost us still. So I feel like there needs to be something somewhere for this until we figure it out, or I can work on it this week and get back to you guys.
Okay. And she'll
Because
have to get
again,
back to us, yeah.
But I guess here's the next part to you. I don't know that we should even be doing the commercial inspections. For all I know, Columbus is already planning on doing it. So that's what I'm telling you. Just because somebody told me that this is being done, I don't know that that's the accurate way. We were talking
Right.
about hydrant.
Yeah, especially if it's not done that often.
Right.
Who knows? Who knows? So maybe if the thing we're not doing is we haven't been keeping records that could be shared, right? We just kind of like, I suspect anyway.
He just says, I'm going to keep the records of my hydrant maintenance. I have pumped all 122 hydrants and identified 7 potential leakers, which is fairly normal. So in what type of capacity does he keep records? Again,
Well, he has to keep them in a capacity that they could be
Right.
produced on demand. So if you haven't seen them, I would certainly ask for.
So that's
them.
what, yes, again, that's what will be.
Not wait until Columbus asks for them, but just to see what
Exactly.
he's doing.
Well, this time he did do it. He's going to keep records of his hydrant maintenance, and it goes on. So, and I have no problem forwarding that to everybody if anybody wants to see that. But so my point is I don't know. I don't know who this entails that we're going to have to pay, and I don't know that Columbus isn't going to say, well, we do the commercial inspections and this has nothing to do. So I'm not sure.
But you don't, at this point, we don't believe at this point that it'll be a large chunk of money, but I mean, if you have something if you have some report by the work session, is that enough time to get it figured out? That's next.
We just have to have this passed by when, Kim?
This needs to be passed by the end of November.
So we do need
No, it
to.
doesn't. I lied. It doesn't need to be passed by then. It needs to be passed by the middle of December.
Middle December, right? Or
Don't listen to me. Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, if we just wrap up the budget talk for the work session and then have the first reading
Right.
on that Monday, we should be good. And I would think we could do that.
I do too. Well, regardless, even if there was a tweak or two after the first
Yeah.
reading, I don't love doing that. Don't get me wrong.
No, and
But-
on a budget, I hate to do that.
I do
but-
too. I'm not in
Okay.
disagreement.
No, and that's kind of why that's why we kind of do it, the schedule we do it. If we do it, the first reading the 9th, that gives us the 7th as the work session to talk about that. I don't be able to be there for any length of that or not. I can try, but I can't make any promises right now.
Yeah,
The 9th, the 23rd is a second reading, and then the 14th is a third reading. That also gives you the 12th as a work session. So we can structure it so there's 2 work sessions to talk about any changes that might have happened.
And I don't want to get on this topic too much, but Diane and David,
Yes, ma'am.
I know we passed this in the handbook. I do not love the fact that we have a council meeting the 21st of December. That is,
Well,
and that was just as
didn't
much
we
my
pass
fault.
it? I thought we didn't pass that one. You guys always nix the second meeting in December.
I
I
don't
thought we
know,
did.
though. I hope so.
I'll check we just have to check did somebody check the
Okay.
I wonder if it's
council, rules of
Check it.
council?
Maybe it's-
I'll check the rules of council and see
That'd be-
what that.
That would be awesome. I felt like we shouldn't have one December 21st.
I'm
And-
positive you guys beat me up on that every year. So,
Okay.
and to make sure I take it off, even in November was iffy. And then December was definitely only one.
For the record, I have never once laid a hand on Diane.
Okay, so we can move past that, but I do want to double check the calendar now that that's 3 days before Christmas or 4 days before Christmas or whatever. That's crazy. Okay.
All right.
So
Kim,
let's move on to sewer. We shockingly do not have any major projects currently planned in 2021. Sewers have been like all I've worked with the village, so that's kind of exciting to not have any big projects on the horizon.
Here's how I'm going to say this to Diane and everybody. Clearly that was like my main thing. Everybody knows that. And then when you get thrown into this, you don't really have the main thing. And I don't know, the goal is to start televising next year and putting this right back on track. So I feel like we should have had televising, but I will also say this. I'm glad we didn't do televising this year because residents are coming unhinged, a couple of them, because of all of the sewer work that's going on right now. That being said, people that are having problems, welcome it. So, but there's a lot of construction, there's a lot of this or that. We will be televising and we will be doing some projects. So I don't know if you want to make sure that you have 2022 and 23 bumped up because we're going right back.
Yeah, the what we've historically spent, when we talked about it with Mike, doing 1/6 of the village each year, he thought about 40,000 was a good number for the CCTV plus the engineering review.
Perfect.
Let's see, these water 3 and 4, these were our 2 water line debt payments from the water line replacement in the early 2000s. 2021 is our last year to accumulate resources, and 2022 they get paid off, so that's exciting. But that's all the activity that happens there. The TIF, that's still currently just an in and out to MI. And Again,
What have we paid so
2025
far?
is. I am not positive off the top of my head, and I
Don't-
can't
yeah,
access
don't worry about it.
this computer.
Nope, you're good. I was just
Um,
curious, and that's for another day. Shoot us an email one day when you get that number. Is anybody else curious to know?
It's going to be in the 600 to 700,000 range.
Yeah, I think that's right. That, just from watching it, I think that's 600 to, yes, six something.
Yeah, but I can get you an exact number on that.
Again, I was just,
But I think 2025, we might see a small amount of it starting to come in. We'll really know better next year when we see what that first half settlement looks like in 21, because
Okay.
that's where what we get in 2021 is based on the 12/31/19 value, and the bulk of it was done then. There wasn't a whole lot that happened in 2020.
okay,
Um,
yeah, you're right.
Once we see what 2021 first half looks like, that'll really give us hopefully a pretty good idea going forward what we're actually going to see in one.
And I think it was a lot, the values were a lot higher than we were expecting.
Yes. Facilities fund, there's nothing currently budgeted for that, but if it's up to council how you want to proceed with this, knowing that this is going to be moving forward. We can either appropriate all of it, or we can wait and appropriate it when the time comes to do it. So it's just up to you if you'd rather jump in up front to be able to go ahead and make those expenses, or do you want to do it, come back to council for it later?
So since we know we have Garmin contract right now, should we be putting something in there?
Well, you're gonna, I think, from what I understand is they will bill monthly, assuming that, you get the contract and then council approves signing off on it. If we get past that barrier, then the first section of it will be the design work and the building specifications and all that. And that could be anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000. So, but it's my understanding they'll bill out hourly. So, but I would put that in. And then after that, it goes out to, after that, then if we agree that it's ready to go out to bid for the construction part of it, right? Then we'll have a better idea what that number is. And at that point, maybe if we can wait and have that discussion at that point, because that's a big, that's when we got to go out and get some money, right?
Right,
At that point.
absolutely.
All right.
So I think we
100,000 on a
put
lake, we
this in
can't do a
here
full
now,
1
and
million
then,
on a building.
yeah, if we put this in here now, and then we tackle that one when we come up with it, because that's another go, no-go point, is when we are actually, wow, gonna do it or not. So, yeah. Okay.
We already touched on the EMS fund, what needs to happen with that.
I have
And
a quick
then let's
question for you, Kim, and this
Yes.
is just a general question for you, and I don't know that it's really a question for you or council or whatever. Currently, obviously, we're still collecting money from Medicaid and different things from EMS runs, and clearly they did a run. I saw them doing a run just today. We have different contracts for, again, the people that collect money for us. Does anybody have a recommendation when we should cancel that? Do we want to
I-
run it at the end of the year?
And I
You
seem
just
to
wanna-
remember,
you just
like,
want them
when
to-
we switched over,
Yeah,
because if you remember, we switched in
Yes.
2018 to the new company.
yes.
The other companies, still, anything they had on their books already, they still continued to collect and spend.
Okay,
They just didn't take anything going forward. So I don't know if it would be the same with Medi-Cal, where we say, we're no longer operating as of the state, so we won't need anything
Okay,
going
I'll
forward,
call
but
them
please
and find
continue to
out.
collect what you already have.
okay. I'll call them and find out what,
Because you will see a little bit trickle in since it's such a delay.
okay. I just don't want to be spending $3,000 a month to collect 200. I don't even know how much it is. I
I
haven't.
mean, wait a minute, they're only charging us if when
I
they
don't know.
collect, right?
It's a
Uh-huh.
percentage.
Was it a
there's an
percentage?
annual
Percentage of
fee.
what they collect, right?
There is an annual fee. We already
Oh.
paid it for 2020.
Okay,
But I want to say it's $2,500, but I don't know that for sure.
that's fine. Okay.
So, parkland improvement.
This is the
we're
one I
about
want.
$120,000 in there. So I don't have anything in there right now. So if you want to put a placeholder in there, we can do that.
I do, but I want everybody, I want at least Diane and, to me, I think we need to have money in there to actually be able to move forward on a lot of the things that we want to do. We're looking for a grant right now to help us with, doing some plantings and things like that on one of the ponds. There's a lot of discussion about park benches, trash cans, and picnic tables in different areas. There's all kinds of things that we're interested in doing. And again, just trees and plants and flowers, and that would
Well, I
be,
think you should put it in there then and spend it.
that's where I'm at. I know, but are you okay with 20,000? Are you okay with 10,000? Are you okay with 25,000?
I'm okay with a lot more. Wait a minute.
We've got
121,000 is,
120.
Yeah, you wanna, I think you need to, once it's turned over, I think that
we need
you
to go.
need to do it. And
Yeah,
so if we can get this,
Absolutely.
we've got the spring and the fall for planting, and then, we've got the rest of the summer if you wanna manage the different projects for benches and things like that. But I definitely would, let's throw the whole thing in there and then let's duke it out with everybody, how we want to spend it. But that's what it's for.
I agree.
Let's do it. Let's
So
get
mean,
some.
to do the whole thing.
It would be a shame to save it for a rainy day. I think that this is money that, the whole point of it was to, finalize, the emerging of the new MI into the Heritage Village and da, da, da. And so I think that, we should spend it, and we should make a list and then prioritize it and cull it out and have something to move forward on. I think we should do it.
Diane, at some point, you and I and other relevant parties should go through and create a list for acceptable things to be planted, because you and I both saw that previous list, and it is woefully inadequate on a invasive standpoint.
Well, no, I agree, and there are I agree, and I still think, even though I was assured that MI would not be planting any invasives, they did allow them to plant things that are on the waiting list for invasives, like the burning bushes and that. That never have happened. So, I don't trust them. I don't, yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, you and I need to go over that at some point before we start making any big
Yeah,
planting.
I think the thing is, I think this is, especially with P and Z, wanting to, we need to have a big spreadsheet and list the things that are wanted, and whether or not the asphalt walkway goes into that fund, that could go in there as well. Although that would probably use it up pretty quickly.
Yeah,
I think we lost the mayor.
it's just our hippie talk. She doesn't really follow that much.
I have that. Kids,
And
that's all I gotta
then-
say. Sorry,
Yeah, I have
guys.
the Hollister one.
Okay, shh. Just so you know, planning and zoning had actually we did do the walk and all those types of things, and we have been working with planning and zoning, and I will just say, there's definitely some people that know a little bit about plants and what not to plant and all of that, so you guys can all duke it out and figure out what goes where and what doesn't, so.
Well, obviously, yeah, and
Oh,
obviously. Lisa
wonderful. I'm
does,
just
but-
happy there's
Yeah.
I'm just happy there's more than myself and Diane with an interest. I look forward to meeting them in the process of doing this.
And I think that we can do a lot with, in terms of plantings, I think we can do a lot with volunteers if we actually were willing to do that. I certainly would volunteer to do some planting around the ponds.
Absolutely.
It's all
Well,
I could do to not put a planter. I had a couple of extra water irises, and it's all I could do not to put the plants in.
Oh, Kelly and I have an entire applesauce jar full of swamp milkweed seed, and I mean some big, healthy swamp milkweed. So that'll be great near some lowlands in the reserve area.
Yep.
Coreopsis, we got all
Um,
kinds stuff.
Anyway, back to, let's see, it's 7:23 now.
All right, in the next 7 minutes, I think we can be wrapped up because these ones are just our little minor funds. I'm gonna go ahead and do because we usually do spend a couple $100 on plants each year to at the Marios Garden.
I would like it to
But
be
again, that's also money.
25. We have big goals this year.
Do the whole thing.
No, 2,500.
We can do the whole thing there too.
No,
2,500.
2,500.
Because
I'm not going that big yet.
because there are plants, we can use that money for plants also.
No, I think one of the big things was, again, we had been talking about doing a couple plantings and again, just trying to get some of this stuff done. I think spending 121 from the other fund and a little bit from this one, I still, I think we still want to make sure we have something for next year, or the year after. So I think doing a little bit each year would be awesome.
I agree.
And then that's pretty much it.
Okay, so I have one thing that didn't make the meeting, that I had sent Kim an email, and I don't know if she even remembers or has it or anything else. And I'm sorry, apparently everybody has had their hour and they're done. So everybody's being noisy. MPCA reached out and had asked for help next year, with the carriage rides. I'm totally on board. Everybody knows that when it comes to being able to help with an event. Hang on a second.
She did, and I did not add that. But if council is supportive of that, we can certainly put that in.
Well, where does that go? Just miscellaneous,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
honestly, that might be able to something that goes in community environment.
kitchen sink?
So you kind of got the gist of what I was looking for. Most of the people, or I have been told that up until 2 years ago, that the village was actually the ones that paid for it. With them needing to cancel almost all of their events this year, they were able to have one of their garage sales. And of course they have been doing the membership drive, but other than that, all of their other moneymakers have been canceled. So, next year, we're anticipating the fact that they're still going to need help with the carriage rides to make it a success. And you guys know I'm on board. I'm also not going to try to shove it in. So
I thought that
I
the
would
mayor,
love it.
yeah, I thought there was a deal with the previous mayor, for carriage rides, some part of it. I don't know the details.
They quit 2 years ago, and I don't know why, don't care. It's not my business. But 2
Right.
years ago, apparently there was some issue and they quit doing it.
Well, yeah,
so-
I think that there's a lot
Yeah.
of bad feelings, but anyway, I do know that they have oh, well, anyway, I don't know how much that stuff costs, but I think if there were some way to actually demonstrate a division between the two still, because they're different entities, if there were one thing. But if the carriage rides is something that I thought that the village was getting away from doing that kind of civic work like that.
I think that there's a possibility that the previous administration wanted to. My view is not the case. I think having community events is super important. I mean, we have a community committee. We want to bring people together at the basketball court. We want to bring people together at the pool. We want to, get people involved in the Veterans Day. We want to get people involved in all of these different things. And in my opinion, there needs to be a division between MPCA and us, because if we do something that makes them mad, clearly we want to make sure that it's them and not us. But that being said, I think them supporting us and us supporting them is huge. I think that was one of the big things that I had talked about from early on. I don't necessarily want that, we're not willing to help or we're not able to help. I feel like this is an event that is sponsored by MPCA, but is used by a lot of people in the village. And I think it's, I don't have any interest in trying to support numerous options, but I think this is one of the best holiday parties that I think we should be involved in. I think it's the time of the year that we should be joining together and doing these types of things. So that's my pitch for that. Everybody knows that, I'm here to work with them and make things a little easier for them. The only other thing that is not, and Diane, this was actually your idea, but I don't think it ever really made the budget, was to help out with the block party, which is again, not necessarily an MPCA event, or block parties in general, not just the big one, but to where people could request $100, $200, small amounts, setting. I know we never really set the rules and regulations because we never really did it for sure, but I'm very interested in making sure that that makes the budget this year, and let people know, especially after hopefully coming out of COVID, we'll be able to have block parties again. Obviously, if 2021 is not any better than 2020, we aren't going to advertise it. I mean, I don't want to, try to get people to have block parties.
Well, yeah, and I think last, the Monica's block party, MI, the only money that really changed hands was what MI bought the burgers and buns.
Yeah.
So although they didn't buy cheese, which ended up, I was at the grill for a while, and that was like, no cheese. I mean, gee. So, but anyway, that wasn't.
Well,
People don't. So, but I think if the village were to pick something like that, like we'll
Mhm.
set aside
Buy cheese.
$200-$300 for the burgers, or we'll just buy the cheese. Whatever you do, we'll buy the cheese. Something like that. I think that's
yeah.
fine.
Insulting.
So, yeah, however we decide to do it, I think for this purpose, I would just love to see, and you guys tell me the amount. I mean, I would love to see it $1,000, $1,500, something like that, to help out with some of the, and I guess I don't even want to call it just that, but community events that may need just a little extra for something like that. But any type of community event, if they want to apply for money for it or request money for it, it's a way for them to get it. So, I was only thinking 1,500 for that, and the carriage rides is 3,000, roughly 3,000. And again, if they don't
Oh, is
happen
it
next year,
really?
they don't happen.
Wow, is it that much? I guess
Yeah.
it would be. I've never priced a carriage ride, so I don't really know.
That was the amount that they told me.
Okay.
So again, if it's less than that, we would pay less. If it's more than that, this is, again, maybe they pay half, maybe, I would like to support it, but we still have to put a number in there. So
Okay,
that's what I'd be interested in.
all right.
Nice. I'm more than willing. We're a community. Let's act like one. I'm very happy to be linked in with the MPCA people now, so that I can, work with them as well as us for community
Right.
stuff. I love the ideas, Tiffany. I really do.
Okay, Kim, back to you.
I think I'm done.
Yay. Thank you so much, Kim, for your time. Thanks, everybody. I think I'm moving to
I'm
adjourn
gonna
here.
work on.
What?
I'm gonna work on, possibly, if you would like, trying to, the next work sessions is in one also, right?
Yeah, at this point, I think most of these are,
I can
All the
try to
council
do
ones
it
have
if I
been.
can go first.
Okay,
I will
certainly you can go first.
get back to you for sure to let you know, but I think that should be okay as long as I can go first and leave when I'm
Just
done.
let us know what, between, 8 and 10 anyway, whatever time slot you want.
We're thrilled to
9:30, no,
have
I'm
you.
kidding.
I can usually only manage half to 3/4 of those things myself because I work night shift. So you're not alone in needing to bounce every now and again.
All right, well, I will let you know for sure, but I think I should be able to do that.
Okay. Great. So we're
right.
move to adjourn. All right.
bye guys.
Bye-bye.
I suppose second if we're being formal.
All right.